Hey guys, RanterInShades here, exercising my first to memorize vlog style. Now, if you guys remember in the video I made recently about the top 15 glam metal bands you've never heard of, I said this. How did I come across the bands I'm going to go over on this list? Call me a new fag, but I have the good old internet to thank for supplying me with this knowledge I was in such thirst for at the time. That's what we're going to be talking about today. Something I've seen a few times on the internet when someone is talking to someone about bands they like, the other person might say, "Lol, I bet you looked them up on Wikipedia. Lol, you wouldn't know that band if you didn't have the internet. So how do you know them?" They'd say that as a way of shaming the person and making them look inferior. Apparently the internet is this evil thing, and anyone who uses it to look into music is fake or a poser. They might also be saying this as a means of bragging about how they lived in the 70s or 80s, if that's even the case. Either way, they're being huge assholes. While it's true that the internet has changed the way we discover new music, and I for one would not know the majority of the music I listen to had it not been for the internet or other forms of media such as movies or Guitar Hero, conceptually speaking, nothing really changed. In the 80s, the way music was spread was via person-to-person word of mouth, magazine publications, and MTV or the radio. Let's not forget that MTV and the radio were a lot bigger back then than they are now. You could also create buzz by getting on the bill supporting a larger act. For example, a band like White Lion wouldn't have gotten as big as they did in their heyday had they not had MTV and radio hits with songs like Wait and When the Children Cry, or if they didn't go on tour with bands like Kiss, Aerosmith, Ozzy Osbourne, or AC/DC. The internet in and of itself basically serves as both a form of word of mouth if you're chatting with someone either on a forum or somewhere else, as well as a publication if you follow blogs like Blabbermouth, Metal Sucks, or Alternative Press. The only difference is that these days it's easier to discover new music than it was before the internet. And I actually think that's awesome. I don't care that I didn't live in the 80s, cause that's when all the better music was made. Let's throw all that aside. If I lived in the 80s, I would have had a much harder time coming across new music. The only way I would counter that would be if I spent every day going to the local record shop, asking if there's anything new and exciting, seeing if there are any magazines spreading buzz about an up-and-coming band, or watching MTV religiously for news of shit to be on the lookout for. We can literally do all of that on the internet. We can follow blogs or other such sources for information about what bands are up to, if they have a new record coming out, if they're going on tour and who they have supporting them, various projects forming such as side projects, solo projects, or supergroups, and even hear about new bands that have a lot of promise. And you can search out information related to the band, whether it be on Wikipedia or whether it be on social media. And bands also have sites like Bandcamp to help get their music out there, and YouTube can also help with that. I see the internet as something that's helping music in this regard, more than something that hurts it. Not to mention, if you have some good friends you've made on the internet, like me, they can serve as a word-of-mouth source. For example, had it not been for my friend Official GATG, I wouldn't know bands like Aeon Zen, Ramage Inc., Nothing More, or Shattered Skies. I also wouldn't know bands like A Wilhelm Scream, Strung Out, Propagandhi, or Anchors had my friend Culta Clusterfuck not told me about them. Had it not been for a page that I follow on Facebook called American Metalheads USA that specializes in sharing more old-school metal, I would not know bands like the Mama's Boys, Toxic, Trouble, or Vicious Rumors, and likely a lot more that I can't think of. Not to mention, you people likely wouldn't have heard about Gardens of Acadia had I not talked about them in various videos on my channel. I also have social media in general to thank for notifying me of such acts as De La Cruz, The Winery Dogs, Butcher Babies, Rings of Saturn, Red Dragon Cartel, Tremonti, and lots of others. Like I said, I would be lost without the internet as far as discovering a lot of the music I now know. Hell, even with radio, we have satellite radio and Pandora, which we're able to personalize, for lack of a better term, so it's easier to discover different artists based on what you like to listen to there. So that's basically an improvement for radio, especially compared to the other aspects of the current radio industry. I would know since I do radio at college, but That's a rant for another day. I'm aware shit was harder in the 80s since there was no internet, but belittling someone for using the internet to discover new music doesn't really help your case. They're still discovering music with their own methods. Just because things are different in that regard than in the 70s and 80s doesn't make it shit. It just makes you look like the Pepperidge Farm guy lamenting about the good old days. Remember how we didn't have the internet to help us find music?
Pepperidge Farm remembers.
Also, direct word of mouth didn't die. The big bad internet didn't kill those types of person-to-person exchanges of information. They still happen. People approach me almost all the time in real life to talk to me about bands. I wouldn't know bands like Nice Shot Kid or Emma Rosa had people from my real life not told me about them. That's no different at all than the examples I gave of bands I learned about from internet friends. And people do also take notice of bands if they see them on tour with someone else. I wouldn't know Anvil if I didn't see them open for AC/DC back in 2009. I also wouldn't know 4 Year Strong if I didn't see them open for Bayside last year. And I wouldn't know Bad Case of Big Mouth had my band not played with them. The point I'm trying to make is, while the internet may have changed the way music is discovered and spread around, traditional methods not only didn't die, but they've also improved thanks to the internet. So fuck this old fag mentality. I like my new fag methods of discovering music, because at the end of the day, we're still discovering music that we'll enjoy. I'm Shades, and I'll see you next time.